Welcome everybody to a look at another Indicator limited edition release. Now this came out back in 2023 and it is 1948's State of the Union. So this is directed by Frank Capra, who also did It's a Wonderful Life and It Happened One Night. And it's a drama, clocking in at 124 minutes long. Stars the likes of Spencer, oh no, 122 minutes long, sorry. Stars the likes of Spencer Tracy, who was also in the kind of similar The Last Hurrah from the subsequent decade, as well as The Devil at 4 O'Clock and The Mountain. Not speaking about more of his filmography, because obviously we have already talked about him with the fantastic film Bad Day at Black Rock. Also stars Katharine Hepburn, so her and Tracy had a lifelong relationship, although they never got married, and they starred in 8 other films besides this one. They also starred alongside each other in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, but she was also in the likes of Summertime and Suddenly Last Summer. Also stars Van Johnson, who was in a few really rather crummy Italian films from the subsequent decades, like Concord Affair 79, Killer Crocodile, and Eagles Over London, which is definitely the best of those three. And finally, Angela Lansbury, who was in the likes of Gaslight, The Manchurian Candidate, The Three Musketeers, and Death on the Nile. So an industrialist is urged to run for president, but this requires uncomfortable compromises on both political and marital levels. So this isn't quite my favourite Frank Capra film. The two that I've mentioned already in terms of his filmography are certainly much better. But thanks to the great cast, solid script, and some thematic weight to it, all of which do help make it to be an ultimately engaging drama. And it's also better than the Last Hurrah that also starred Tracy, that, like I said, is somewhat similar in terms of its plot synopsis, in terms of political wranglings and such. Yeah, it's definitely better than that, but not as good as other Capra films I've seen. That said, it is also well paced, has an on point character interactions, the satire element is effective, it is well paced in terms of, sorry, it's well executed in terms of the narrative structure, and the finale is executed satisfyingly, especially since certain character arcs come to a satisfying conclusion, and yeah, ultimately the people win out rather than the politicians, I guess you could say. So yeah, on the whole, a really well done effort, and yeah, it gets a solid 4 out of 5. But It's a Wonderful Life and It Happened One Night would definitely get a slightly higher rating of around 4.5 out of 5. So yeah, not massively behind those two other efforts, but still one that is overall well done. We also get reversible sleeve artwork with this release, and yeah, get a booklet as well with this limited edition version. You don't get these on the standard edition versions. Not sure if there are any of these limited editions still around. There have obviously been several sales on since this came out in 2023. So yeah. And inside the booklet, we get your cast and your crew. The film is in, by the way, 137 to 1 aspect ratio and in black and white. And in the booklet, we get Life, Liberty, and Frank Capra by Raquel Stacia from 2023. And then we get Capra Lives, his movie title, It's a Wonderful Life by Jay Carmody from 1947. So during the release of It's a Wonderful Life, Frank Capra spoke to Hollywood correspondent Jay Carmody, about his plans for State of the Union and his new production company, Liberty Films. Unfortunately, Liberty Films only released 2 films in total, this being one of them, and I think they went defunct in like 1951, so unfortunately not a success. And then we've got Capra shoots for picture reflecting issues of presidential campaign. So that's by Philip K. Schur, also from 1947. So as demonstrated by this interview for the Los Angeles Times, Frank Capra was walking something of a political tightrope during the production of State of the Union, with American politics becoming increasingly polarized in the years following the war. How things change, eh? So yeah, there's that, and then we have Hepburn, Menu, and Huac by Jeff Billington from 2023. So while much attention was paid to the topicality of State of the Union, given its shooting immediately prior to a presidential election campaign, there was a further parallel to contemporary events. Adolphe Menu was a staunch supporter of the Republican Party, aligning himself with other Hollywood figures such as Walt Disney, Cecil B. DeMille, John Wayne, and Barbara Stanwyck. With these and others, he formed the Motion Picture Alliance for the Preservation of American Ideals, an anti-communist organisation dedicated to rooting out left-wing influence in Hollywood. Co-star Katharine Hepburn, on the other hand, was a Democrat and was a member of rival organisation, the Committee for the First Amendment, alongside Humphrey Bogart, Henry Fonda, Groucho Marx, and others. The catalyst behind the formation of both groups was the launch of congressional hearings into subversive influence in the film industry. Menu's faction testified under oath before HUAC that there was widespread communist infiltration, particularly among screenwriters who it was alleged were smuggling messages critical of America into Hollywood films, which, was complete hodgepodge, quite frankly. It was a typical Red Scare nonsense, so look for your red under your bed and stuff like that. And then we have the critical response. So the British release of State of the Union substituted the original punning title with The World and His Wife. The unsigned monthly bulletin review felt the film's political specifics might be lost on a British audience, which probably would be the case, given it's very much entwined in the whole Republican and Democrat, rivalry of the 1940s. And then we have a couple of different posters in the reverse there. And then about the presentation, so it was sourced from Universal's HD restoration, created from a 35mm nitrate composite fine grain print in 2009. And the film's original mono soundtrack was remastered at the same time. So, yeah, quite an old remaster, to be honest. But it still looks and sounds perfectly fine. But, yeah, given it's from 2009, that remaster and restoration, it wouldn't do it any harm to give it a new one by any means. So yeah, we've also got on the disc itself audio commentary with critics and writers Claire Kenny, Glenn Kenny, and Farron Smith Name from 2023. The John Player lecture with Angela Lansbury from 1973. That's an 89-minute archival audio recording of the celebrated star of film, stage, and television in conversation with Rex Reed at London's National Film Theatre. Then we've got National Treasure from 2023. That clocks it at 29 minutes long. Academic Lucy Bolton discusses the life and eventual career of the much-loved performer Angela Lansbury. Then we got original opening and closing credits, titles even, original theatrical trailer, image gallery, and then new and improved English subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing. It was a UK premiere on Blu-ray, so it has had a world release before, and then it was a limited edition of 3,000 copies for the UK as well. So, yeah, whether or not those 3,000 copies, or there is still some of those copies from that 3,000 run, we'll have to see. But, yeah, considering certain other films that have had that kind of number printed for them from Indicator before have long since been available, well after being released, even with countless numbers of sales, then yeah, there might will be some of these still hanging around. But and if there is, it is well worth seeking out. It is a fairly solid film, really good satire on the politics of the time, which in certain respects still bear relevance to today. And yeah, just overall a really good drama, and the cast itself really does make it as watchable as it is, because quite frankly, it is a really good cast. So yeah, but nonetheless, thank you for watching. If you have seen State of the Union before, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.